This week on the long-term tackle review, we'll be taking a look at leaders and more specifically the Corefree from One More Cast. So this is the first time for me reviewing a One More Cast product on this channel, and that's because when a company comes to the market, I like to use several different bits of their terminal tackle over a long period of time before I make any judgments and review anything. And I've recently found that several different bits of One More Cast terminal tackle have made their way into my tackle box and are staying there. And the first one of those is the Corefree lead-free material. Now, when I go to different venues around the country, I generally want to be using a leader over tubing. I find it blends in a lot nicer to the bottom, it's a thinner diameter, and I just think it's a little bit more subtle of a presentation than tubing can sometimes stick out like a sore thumb in my opinion. But you've always got to check with the rules of the lake, but lead core is banned at a lot of them these days when you travel around to day tickets, and lead-free seems to be allowed at the majority of them. So recently I've been using this Corefree, and the thing that I've really enjoyed about it is it's super simple to splice. Now at the end of this video I will put up some footage about how to splice this that I filmed in an earlier video, and it just shows just how simple it is for the needle to slide down the middle of this Corefree material. A lot of leaders on the market I find actually quite difficult to splice, even though I've been doing it for absolutely years now. I still find that sometimes the needle just pokes out the side. It can be really difficult to thread down the material and they're just not that nice to work with. Whereas this Corefree is super simple to do, as you'll see at the end of this video. Now the actual material itself is 40-pound breaking strain and comes in two different colourways. This is the gravelly brown, but there's also a weedy green available. And it is a really supple braided material that will blend over all the contours along the bottom. It just sits nicely over stones, twigs, that kind of stuff, to help keep your leader pinned out of the way of those fish when they're coming around your hook baits. So it's really abrasion resistant as well. The lake that I've been using it on locally to me has got loads of savage gravel bars, zebra mussels, all that kind of stuff in it, and yet to bring back a leader where it's even got a slight bit of frayed material on it, or let alone cut off, anything like that since I've been using it. So super abrasion resistant, really heavy, sinks like a brick and blends into the contours of the bottom really nicely. As I say, this one is the gravelly brown, but the colour on it itself is really speckled, so it breaks up that outline of the material really nicely along the bottom, so it just helps make sure it's really camouflaged and out of the way of the fish. There's not much more else to say about a leader material. As I say, it's super strong, blends in really nicely, super simple to use, comes in several different colours, and so what more could you really want from a leader material? Now let me know down below in the comments which brand material you use. I've reviewed a few on this channel before, but this one, which has come out fairly recently, is by far the easiest to use that I've found. Now if you're new to splicing material, stay tuned. I'm going to tag on to the end the footage of me talking about how to splice this from a previous video. So splicing is really simple when you get the hang of it. A lot of people are a bit worried about making their own leaders and stuff at the start, but it's really simple. So we've got ourselves some 40-pound Corefree from One More Cast. This is a lead-free leader. So what this is a version of lead core which just hasn't got the lead wire through the middle, and it is allowed on a lot more lakes than lead core is these days. So if leaders are allowed, generally this stuff is allowed, but always check the rules. And recently I've been using this one and it's been really good. I find it really easy to splice, really resistant, and it blends in really nicely. So we're just going to strip off a little section. Normally you'd strip off the length of leader that you require, but we'll just do this for demonstration. And then you take a splicing needle. Now these are a specialist little needle which have got a really tiny little gape, really thin wire, and they're designed specifically for going inside the lead-free leader. Now the way to look at lead-free leaders is that they're effectively a tube of braid, and what you're trying to do is slide this needle down the middle of the braid so that you can pull the outside bit back through itself to make a really strong secure loop using basically friction. So you want to come down on these needles. You'll notice they generally have a section that is a lot thinner at the top. Now this is the length that you want to be looking to splice at to give you optimal security. So you want to work out the length of this against your braid and double it over. And then the way I like to do it is I like to put my finger against the material, and then I take the needle flat side, and then it's a bit fiddly, but you just slowly want to work it so that it just splits inside the top section of the coating. And then once you're inside, I take my 2 fingers around the top of the needle and then slowly tease it inside, and you'll start to see, if you've got it right, it won't pierce out the other side, it'll start to slide up the inside of the material, and that's when you know you've got it right. So you just slide it down. This stuff slides really easy once you've got it right, down to where it starts to widen on the needle, so you know you've got enough. Make sure you've got enough that will definitely come through the other side. And then once you're at that point, you then just push the needle out, so it's now came out the top. Close your gape up a little bit, and then you take whatever you want to splice on the end. So this is just one for my inline setup. So we're going to take a swivel, slide it on, so it's now on there. Bring the tag end into the splicing needle gape, and then you slide the material up. So then once you're up, you then slide it all the way on. Just with your fingers, just work it gently. These needles are quite delicate, so be careful, until your tag end comes out the other end. Pull it all nice and tight against the swivel, and then you can slide the material all the way back, and you'll see that is now absolutely rock solid on there. That is not going anywhere, but you'll see you've got a tag end left. So then all I do, just pull it out a tiny little bit, take a pair of scissors, cut that tack end off, pull it all back again, and you'll have a seamless join, and you won't hardly be able to see where you've done that other than it being a little thicker. And that will now withstand absolutely anything there. That is solid as a rock. So that is how you splice onto a needle, and so it's really, really simple. I don't think that you'll have any problems once you've tried it a few times, especially with this stuff. I've used loads of different leader-free materials, and this one recently, since I've been using it, has been the easiest I've found to splice. So yeah, hopefully this video has been informative to you. Hopefully there's been lots of content about the lead setups that you've really enjoyed. Made it nice and easy for you to understand. If there's anything you want to see in future videos, leave it down below in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.